Ang susunod na programa ay rated PG. Ito ay nangangailangan ng patnubay at gabay ng magulang para sa mga batang manonood.
This program is supported by Sierra Eye Center Plus and Sierra Health Diagnostic Center and Multi-Specialty Clinic. Quality and affordable healthcare for all. SMC Global Power. Bank of Commerce, an affiliate of San Miguel Corporation. We think customers. Lemur Skin and Lemur Aesthetics. Bringing the luxury beauty experience closer to people.
Welcome to Open for Business. Mapapanood nyo rin ang programang OFB sa Facebook at YouTube. Mag-like at mag-subscribe sa aming social media at Net25 TV. I am Cesar Vallejos. Welcome to Open for Business. Samahan ninyo kaming tuklasin ang iba't ibang pamamaraan kung paano mapaunlad ang inyong negosyo. Aalamin din natin mula sa mga eksperto ang mga pangunahing trends at mga estratehiya kung paano natin mapapanatiling ang negosyo, maliit man o malaki, ay maging laging open for business. Dance has always played a significant role in the lives of Filipinos. Aside from being a source of entertainment, dance has been deeply ingrained in our society as a means of expressing cultural history and identity. Sa panahon ng lockdowns, nagsara ang mga paaralan, teatro at iba pang performance venues. Live performances were canceled as mass gatherings remained restricted. A survey conducted by the Philippine government in April 2020 found that the arts, entertainment, and recreation sector had an average lost sales of 82.3% and was thus the hardest hit sector in terms of revenue losses. The cultural center of the Philippines alone took an estimated 90 million revenue hit, with the pandemic disrupting the work of at least 3,000 artists and production staff. Nevertheless, the dance community found ways to survive the pandemic and respond to the changing times. How did the Filipino dance community adapt to the pandemic and ensure that the show goes on? We will find out more about this and how dance is art in its purest form with our guest, Ms. Erica Marquez Jacinto, the General Manager and owner of Hampton Court Ballet School and a member of the Board of Philippine National Ballet Syllabus. This episode of Open for Business.
This program is supported by Sierra Eye Center Plus.
Open for Business is back, and with us is Ms. Erica Marquez Jacinto, the General Manager and owner of Hampton Court Ballet School and a member of the Board of Philippine National Ballet Syllabus. How are you, Erica?
Nice to be here. I'm fine.
I think this is my first time to interview a ballet dancer and a ballet school teacher here at Open for Business. But of course, we frequent the Cultural Center of the Philippines. We go there. But that was there was a lot for 2 years. So how's dance, during the 2 years of pandemic?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. And of course, a lot happened during the pandemic. There was a loss of hope. But at the same time, the Filipinos have been very, very resilient, and a lot has been done to restore the hope. So I think we're on our way back to normal soon.
Okay, I think the general public also who's watching now, there is a notion that ballet is just for the elite, for the cultured, people who go to the Cultural Center of the Philippines. It's more para sa mga elitista. Yun ba ay nagbabago na rin? Is that changing now?
I think a lot has been done to change that notion. And this pandemic especially, the themes of the works that are being done by choreographers and dancers, it focuses on the pulse of the nation. Like, most of the works are about personal experiences that people can relate to, like the COVID pandemic, the isolation, the loss of livelihood. So when dancers and choreographers make pieces like that, medyo tumatatak din sa mga manonood because they can at least emotionally relate to the pieces. So I think slowly but surely, dance and classical and other genres in dance, they're slowly really making a mark here in the Philippines. Nasa pulso na talaga ng Pilipino ang arts, including dance. But I think it's intensifying. With the quarantine and the COVID situation, at wala kang mahawakan, heart always finds art. So I think it's a good thing. Despite the pandemic, at least we were able to inspire others to look at art in a healing point of view.
Wow, that's very insightful. Look at arts or dance on a healing point of view. That's nice. But before I go to, my follow-up question there is, what makes the genre, the ballet, so unique and different? There's so much discipline in it. And how is ballet different from the other dances?
Well, all different genres naman, they have their own practice and their own traditions. But ballet in particular is very strict in technique. There's a standard. So there is, kumbaga, measures to find out if you're performing well or not. And some genres can be totally freestyle. Ballet is not like that. There's a certain height level of the jump, of the legs, number of turns. It's a combination between athleticism and art, really. So I think that's what makes it different from other genres. It's because there's a measure that you are compared to. But I think what makes ballet special is there's a saying na sinasabi nila, it's from a song. They say everything is beautiful at the ballet because everything is colorful, it's done live. At the same time, it makes things that look impossible a reality. For example, a dancer can be on their toes and can do marvelous things that really are just simply beautiful, aesthetically beautiful. And people jump in the air and hold their jump in the air as if there's no such thing as gravity. So yung mga spectacular things like this, like turning multiple times, it's very shocking for somebody who has not seen ballet before. So all of these combined, it makes ballet very new to the eye if you have not seen it before. Like, you don't normally see it on TV, you don't normally see it in regular presentations. Medyo chosen lang yung appearances ng ballet, which I hope will change soon.
Yeah, that's interesting when you say there's a combination of athleticism, being an athlete, and dance. And yes, again, when you say everything is beautiful in ballet, there's a lot of elements in there, from the costumes to
Yes.
music to the participation of the orchestra. So in the industry, you mentioned that there are standards, diba? So, and there are dance groups in different countries. They represent the countries. Why is that? Is it really a standard when you mention a specific company, a dance company, and it should represent a country? Like, for example, we always hear in the ones from Russia, the ones from New York. Is this also part of the discipline or part of the competition where countries would have their own dance companies to represent their country?
I think ballet is also a symbol of the level of culture that you have in a country. So when you have a national company or several national companies, it's already a big thing. It means the art is established in your country. So for Russia, they have several big companies. The United States also has several companies. And it is a cultural marker that you've established a high level of dance in your country. So in the Philippines, we only have a handful of major ballet companies. But I think that even if we have just 3 companies in the Philippines, we have already reached a level of global acceptance because our dancers, they're really quite talented and passionate, and they can really compete with the global market. Well, at least I believe in the Filipino.
That's right, that's right. But among all the countries that has dance companies, what's your take on, or based on research, and based on global acceptance, which is ranking in maybe the top 3 countries?
For me personally, yeah.
Okay.
For me, Russia is number 1.
And that's why a lot of our dancers also attend there, or they have their
at least they
scholarships
try.
there.
They try, yeah.
Okay.
For me, Russia, they have several companies there. And then we have London, we have Royal Ballet there. And the United States has several companies that they can boast of. So maybe those are the 3 top companies for me.
I remember during the pandemic, let's go back to the time when we were locked down. There were a lot of opera houses, that really focused on showing, aside from orchestra, ballet performances, and they were given, shows that were supposed to be ticketed, and then you have to pay lots of
Money.
dollars and money. And this were shown during the pandemic. Do you see that this will continue? That people would now go to the internet, online, and as you mentioned earlier, ballet is supposed to be live.
Yes,
Ballet is
yes,
supposed to be
yes, yes.
watched. So what's your take on that, of audiences going online?
I think the online, the shift to online was a coping mechanism because art has to survive. And all the artists would rather show their art online than not at all. So it's important to create things. It's important to use the body so that we can keep the dancers moving and keep the art moving forward. But I think at this time, things are normalizing. The CCP is opening up very soon. The Metropolitan Theater is already opening up. And there are now small shows that are happening. I think soon, ballet will be able to go back to being completely live.
Wow.
The way it should be experienced talaga.
Okay, and I hope I'll be there in one of those stages. And how did the Filipino dance community cope with the pandemic during, while keeping the show going on?
At first, it was disastrous because we have the 3 major companies in the Philippines. We have Ballet Philippines, Philippine Ballet Theater, and Ballet Manila. And without the theaters, they have no venue or platform to show their art.
Yeah.
So the CCP was closed, Aliw was closed, and all the theaters were closed down. But I think the Filipinos were so intent on keeping dance alive that they made it work. There were several programs. I'd like to also take the opportunity to commend these programs. When nobody knew what to do, the dancers pulled together their resources and came out with something like Likha PH. Likha PH immediately went online as soon as the lockdown started. And they gave free training. And when you say free training, they gave free livelihood for those who were training online.
Wow.
So it gave financial assistance to the displaced dancers. It gave a venue for people to continue to dance. So, and I think this program continued and elevated pa. Nag-progress pa sila. And I think they serviced hundreds of dancers. They helped those who could not dance, who didn't have livelihood and employment. Because the three companies could not hold shows, there were no dancer contracts, or if there were, they were limited to a handful that they could support. So NCCA also gave what they call their artist ayuda, but that also was a big help for the dancers, and eventually my advocacy at that time was also to help dancers in need. So with the help of the other ballet companies, we reached out to international stars and we launched Dance and Donate, where the international stars would give master classes to Philippine dancers, and in exchange for an amount, and that amount was shared to all of the displaced artists. You have to understand, it's the whole Philippines. All of those dancers in the Philippines had nothing to do. They were on total frozen talaga. Wala silang magawa kasi we had no stage to perform. Eventually, NCCA came up with a digital platform, and it encouraged even the regional dancers to create pieces. And through their digital platform, they showcased the efforts of so many dance groups, maybe more than 200 even dance groups, and they would show it on a weekly basis. They would have a program. In exchange, the dance companies would get an honorarium of some sort for the content that they have created. So they also published material for the dancers to explore. They also had like an international dance conference so that the dancers and the creators and on the production side would keep, trying to level up their art form despite the quarantine and the lockdown and the pandemic. And I think lastly, what was good about, well, nothing is good about the pandemic, but
there
a silver
are a lot
lining,
of things, yes.
a silver lining during the pandemic was that there was an emergence of dance films.
Yeah.
People started really learning how to mix dance and film together.
Wow, that's very insightful. I'm getting an information overload here. But in terms of the online training, how did the dancers do this? I know that with the ballet dancers, you have to have a space, you have to have your, the floor fixed, that's very conducive for dancing. But I saw few clips doing it in the rooms.
Yes.
And how was the training then?
Grabe the sacrifice of everybody to make online dance work. Because the teachers, old and young, they had to adapt to technology. They had to learn how to teach via Zoom. And it's very, very difficult. You see, ballet is so traditional. In a ballet class, just one look of a teacher to a student, and the student already knows, okay, I made a mistake. There's no need to have a very lengthy conversation. Just like a gesture means so many things. But in Zoom, the teachers had to really learn how to communicate. They needed to learn how to verbally teach the students in a friendly manner, because Zoom is very intimidating to everybody, all kinds of students of all ages. It's very, it feels like you're being kumaga, always in Zoom mode. That everybody can see what you're doing because you're in the screen. But yun nga, when the teachers learned how to use technology, some used other softwares other than Zoom, Google Meet or Google Classroom or other different forms where you could share space in the internet. I think nag-evolve din yung mga teachers and we were also able to learn new teaching techniques. Yeah, so yeah, I think nag-adapt naman. Pero mahirap talaga. Like my students would dance in cement. And of course, when you dance in cement, there are some steps that we cannot practice because of safety.
And jumping, syempre.
Yeah, you cannot, you need
oh,
the space to jump.
Yes.
So paano naman sila tatalon sa semento, right? Yeah, and the space. Like you need to extend your leg. But if you only have a meter, mababalag yung leg mo. So yeah, it was really a challenge. But it was a challenge that most dancers, real dancers, took on. They're, I guess people, if you really like the art and you have the passion for it, you know, whatever it takes.
But you know, during those moments, and since you mentioned about transformation or adaptability, you know, to your space, did it evolve into something creative as well, where you developed a ballet choreography for online?
Well, pre-COVID, nobody would even think of creating new pieces via online. But now that, as I said, there are silver linings to the pandemic, now we can employ people from the provinces and they can share their art with people in Manila. Now it's a possibility. So, yeah, meron din talaga siyang silver lining.
Now, when we talk about dance as an art form, of course, you mentioned that it's a passion, and eventually you said with what happened during the pandemic, they were creative to really focus on new themes. Can you talk about ballet expressing or talking about social relevance? Is this also a form where you don't only communicate your being an artist, being a dancer, but it's like the other dances or other genres, you express emotion. And when you watch a ballet piece and we see it at the Cultural Center of the Philippines, you know, a lot of the, you know, world leaders also like it, artists, you know, and, you know, people, you know, from high places really flock together and appreciate this. What's the social relevance of ballet and with the many pieces, new inventions of dance and choreography? Is this also used by dancers, choreographers, and you as a ballet school? Is that it is something like a social statement as well?
Well, I won't mention any group in particular, but just this election, the dance community rallied for certain people using their art.
Okay.
So I think art is a very deep platform. Marami kang pwedeng puntahan with art. And with the caliber of the dancers in the Philippines, they will not allow their art to be meaningless. So at this point in time, the caliber of our people make sure that their work is always purposeful, relevant, timely, and of course, it's very, very important to be aesthetically good and the technique is good. So if all of those 5 things are in your work, then, you know, may impact talaga yung art sa society. So when you, as I said earlier, maraming works at this time are about the pandemic and about social issues. It's because they really, during this pandemic, all the emotions are so intense. You know, when you're at your house, everything is an important thing. So all your opinions are intensified during this quarantine because we're all suffering together, di ba? Experiencing new things together, adapting together. So every art that we put out, every choreography, every performance is punong-puno ng timeliness, relevance, purpose. Otherwise, sayang lang yung panahon ng artist.
That's right. Now, pre-pandemic, all the dance companies are profitable. As you mentioned, art, as we also know, is business. And with the lockdowns, that is our advocacy to stay open for business. Now, you own a dance school. How profitable is it? And the other thing is, what's the interest of Filipinos in ballet? Are there, in terms of demographics, we also see young, even toddlers, even, or the parents of the of the kids, who want their children to ballerina. So, how profitable is this venture, or are you just putting it up because some would say, oh, she's already well-to-do and she just want to express her art form. Also, she established her own school. Or unlike in other businesses, you have to really do it because it's something profitable. So you don't create a school because it's just your passion. Although, of course, with all the CEOs that I interview here, you create a business based on your passion. That's what they say. Is this also applicable to your industry?
I think any industry can be profitable if you really put your mind to it. It's really just a matter of making sure your value system is on point and your goals for the organization is on point. Hampton Court is only one of the businesses that I attend to, but we will always surely attempt to make it a profitable business. It would be irresponsible to allow a business to not be profitable. But at the same time, I think it's important to have always a dual purpose for every organization that you work with. The Marquez family, my maternal family, has made it a point that in all of our businesses, there's always profit and advocacy, because those two always go hand in hand. When you help people, you grow. So that's always the two-prong approach when we create businesses, and we really try to make sure that all of our businesses are profitable so that we can continue helping the advocacies that we support and helping the people that we employ. So ballet can be very, very profitable. That's a fact. The ballet school, I'm talking about the ballet school. Ballet schools can be very profitable. It suffered a little bit during the pandemic because of the logistical problem that the students could not go to the schools. But I think by now it has already settled down. And it is, again, one of the art forms that can survive, can survive the market. So with my school, okay naman kami. We were able to adapt to the pandemic. At the same time, on the advocacy side, we made sure that we have a scholarship program, and we made sure that every time the school profits more, the scholarship program also grows. So that's
giving back.
Yeah, that's how I view business. We want to keep our business strong so that we can grow and so that we can help more people.
Wow, that's interesting, Erica. But there are also insights that the difference of artistry and business, sometimes people say that you cannot do things together.
Mix together.
In your case, I know that you're into arts. You are a ballerina yourself, but you also manage the business. So how do you strike the balance between being an artist and a businessman?
I think a deep understanding helps. A lot of people enter business without doing their research or without having enough experience in the industry that they want to learn. So if if you start off like that, there will be obstacles. But I think if you really do the work, and if your heart is really in it, and you continuously learn and progress and find new ways, be resourceful, I think it can work. Yung artist ka and then business is successful. You don't have to compromise. So there are a lot of...
But what is it? What element or what characteristic of being an artist or dancer that you draw, to work in business?
Marami.
Ano yung hugot mo as a
Marami.
dancer?
Marami, because when you live how many years as a dancer or an artist or a performer, ang dami mo talagang life lessons na bibit-bitin sa corporate world. Number one, you'll always be humble. You can take criticism anytime. Because in the ballet studio, you receive 100 criticisms a day. You will never be the best because you can always be better tomorrow. So that kind of mindset is very important in the corporate world. If you have a business, hindi ka madaling mag-feel bad. You just really smile at all the criticism and take it down. You accept the criticism, the comments, the feedback, you write it down, and you can still have a smile in your face, and tomorrow will be a better day. So that's one important thing, yung ability to accept the criticism, process it. As an artist kasi ganun eh. Pag-iisipan mo, you really have to stop and think, ano ba yung correction sa akin? Ano ba yung feedback dun sa art ko na appreciate ba? Ganun din sa work. You put the same kind of energy and mentality. And I think if you put that in the corporate setting, meron kang self mechanism to improve. And that's important. Secondly, the heart. Artists give 100% or even more each time. And when you bring that kind of energy to the corporate world, a lot can be achieved. And third, we're never late.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
So I think yung discipline, the discipline of an artist. Not all artists, kasi merong misconception that all artists are,
especially in show business.
happy-go-lucky. No, not all artists are like that. Especially not ballet dancers. Ballet dancers will never be late, will always come prepared, will always be resourceful, always be on their toes. And those little things, values that we learned because we were artists, you can bring that to the business side. And when you melt it together, it could be good. It could be something good.
Wow. Very insightful. Now, Erica, when we talk of ballet also, and we talk about our artistry as a Filipino, they say that we are world-class. And of course, all our Filipino artists, Filipino dancers, with singing, with acting, we are winning awards. But so far in the world of ballet, we know some personalities. Of course, who doesn't know the Liza Makuha? When you mention Filipino ballet dancers, and we also see, some personalities who participate in ballet competitions, and we also see some people who go to different dance companies. Like we see, I think there are Filipinos already in Hong Kong and in other parts of the world. What is your view of Filipinos going to the different dance companies, and do you see in terms of rating the Filipino ballet dancers, how far are we from the top ballet dancers and dance companies that are known all over the world?
That's a very difficult question to ask, but I have to say I'll probably give you a biased answer because I'm a Filipino artist and I've seen how the Filipino works, and while I've also been around the world looking at different performances, I can say that the Filipinos have an edge in terms of artistry because they're punong-puno ng emotion and energy. And you can't help not notice them when they're on stage. So we have that extra spark that is very hard to replicate. But it is true that other countries have more dancers who are of global standard. We have a lot of very good dancers here in the Philippines. But because of the sheer size also, I mean, Russia versus the Philippines, of course, they have a whole number of resources there compared to our country. But if you're looking at just the potential, I think the potential is very big for the Philippines. We are already making a mark in the dance industry. And proof of that is a lot of our company members have unfortunately migrated to other countries just to survive the pandemic. And just the fact that they were able to secure spots that people in their country could not is indicative that we have good dancers here in the Philippines.
Erica, sa ibang bansa, pag sinabi mong ballet dancer, para siyang superstar. Parang dito sa Pilipinas, parang hindi pa. Di ba? Parang, kunyari, ang mga naririnig mo lang, ayun, sina Lisa. Pero yung iba na, parang wala nang ibang superstar dito sa Pilipinas. Pag sinabi mong, halimbawa, Erica Jacinto.
Hindi siya household name.
Hindi siya household name. So, ano ang meron sa mga ballet dancers sa ibang bansa at paano nila parang sinasabi mo na mas mataas ba yung art form nila? Kasi parang sabi mo, the presence, and I like that insight. You said, the presence of dance companies, one or more, shows the level of art form of a specific country. So, kasabay mo na rin sigurong sagutin, sapat din ba yung suporta ng administrasyon or ng bansa, ng gobyerno?
I think
para sa
kulang.
dance?
I think kulang, honestly, from an artist point of view. I think there are institutions that are helping the art industry, but I think we deserve more laws and we deserve more security structures to support the arts. Because at the moment, lalo na this pandemic, it just helps us thrive, but not, go that extra mile. So I think a lot can still be done. I think one of the problems is the lack of opportunity. If you go to a country like Russia, you have so many employment opportunities. Several companies to choose from, big or small. It just depends on your skill level. But here, we only have 3 major ballet companies. So, syempre, even if you're good, you might just not make it to company level.
So, yun ba yung reason bakit wala ring household name or walang superstar? Because kakaunti lang.
Yes, I think with more opportunities, you'll see more dancers shine. Diba? Because we only have 3 companies, so each company has a few stars here and a few stars here and a few stars here. But if we really had like massive performances and massive opportunities, we have the opportunity to hone more dancers. And from the pool of dancers, you have more stars. But let me make it a point to mention that though some of our Filipino dancers are not household names here in the Philippines, some of them are household names in different countries.
Really?
And I'm very happy about that. We have Leah Sirio in the States, Candice Adea in Australia, we have Gary Corpus in Hong Kong, and where they work, they are stars.
Wow.
So we just really have to get our act together and give more opportunities. Mas sikat pa sila sa ibang country kesa here. They're not household names here, but there's somebody in different countries.
Wow, interesting. Erica, how appreciative is the Filipino audience when in terms of ballet, in terms of ballet viewing?
Surprisingly, the Filipinos are very, very appreciative. I have watched shows from different countries, and the way that we appreciate artists is very, very satisfying. Ang Pinoy, malalaman mo may Pinoy sa London Covent Garden kasi may nagwawala sa likod.
Lakas ang palakpak,
Saying bravo,
oo.
malakas ang palakpak. And I think pagdating talaga sa arts, appreciative talaga tayo by nature. We love the entertainment, we love the energy, we love it being live, anything can happen. It's just kulang lang talagang opportunities natin to have more shows and more dancers and, more features.
Wow. Now speaking of the definition of a ballet dancer and the characteristics or physical traits of a ballet dancer, parang ikaw, tall, long limbs ba yun? Long legs, yan, beautiful body, very slim. Is that really, what a ballet dancer should be? Kasi siyempre, sa Pilipino, sige, ako yung alta sosyedad. Gusto ko yung anak ko na kahit wala naman siyang physical traits ng pagiging ballerina, i-enroll niya siya. But it's maybe in the form of, sports na lang or, just the passion of the mother. So, what are the physical traits or characteristics para naman yung mga bata, mga Pilipina, wannabe of the young ones who would aspire, to be ballerinas, but they may not necessarily have the physical. Sabi mo nga, may technique, may measurement.
Yes.
Baka naman yung strength mo, yung katawan mo, hindi talaga pang ballerina. How is that? How do you define or see a total performer ballerina?
Okay, I have to admit, I cannot lie. It is a plus if you are long, statuesque. It is a plus if you're beautiful. It is a plus if you have the natural aura of a ballerina. However, as a teacher then, and as a dancer, I do not believe in putting limitations on physical limitations on children and aspiring dancers. And while a lot of people will probably oppose that sentiment, I will just give my examples. Lisa Makuha is not one of the tallest.
Yes,
is not one of the tallest dancers in the Philippines. She was in fact one of the smallest in her batch in Russia, and of course she is an icon here in the Philippines. Mania Barredo is a principal dancer for Atlanta Ballet and has become one of the household names. She's one of our real prima ballerinas in the Philippines, and she is 4'8".
Wow.
So I think if you're good at what you do and you have the heart to be an artist, then there should be nothing that limits you or keeps you from doing the art. It is a benefit to be physically blessed, but I think hard work always beats talent.
Love it, love it. I'm speechless. Now, with the ballerinas, with the ballet dancers, how do you stand out for a regular viewer? Pareho lang naman. Kunyari yung the Swan Lake, when you see them perform, everybody's doing the same art form or the same step, but how does a ballerina stand out? Is there a specific movement or jump or flip or how long the jump is or how tall?
Let me tell you something about ballet na maybe hindi alam ng iba. In ballet, everybody has a specific role. So the corps de ballet, you are required to dance exactly alike. So when you're dancing core work or ensemble work, and you do everything exactly the same, then the audience will clap for you. But if you're the star of the show or doing a solo piece, you should be able to evoke your own emotions into the character. So I think when you really understand the character that you're doing, and you really studied it and practiced it, it will show on stage. Kumbaga, your heart will show on stage. So it's not, the goal of ballerinas is not always to stand out. We can be beautiful as an ensemble. And meron din namang opportunities that you have to take the lead, and when you do take the lead, then it's your time to shine.
Now, there are various pieces, diba? There are various pieces and a lot of film. There were a lot of films already that were made. So far, what's the hardest step or technique that is done, you know, that you have to have a lot of training before you do that?
There's a step called the fouettes. It's done in all the white ballets or the grand ballets, particularly famous for Swan Lake. And you have to do 32 turns. It's like you're spinning like a top for 32 times. So,
And you did that already?
I have not been given the privilege to do that black swan role, but it is one of the measures of a dancer. So if you're given that assignment, then it's a pat on the back.
Wow. And is there also some kind of hierarchy in ballet? Whether it is, kunyari, ano yung novice ka muna, and then you go to,
Well,
you
usually,
be called a prima ballerina. What's the hierarchy?
it depends on the company that you're in, but generally it starts with you're a scholar, an apprentice, company member, then you go to demi-soloist, soloist, and then principal. Some companies don't have the distinction between first soloist and demi-soloist. Lahat kayo soloist. So it depends on the company. But there's a hierarchy.
You mentioned how appreciative the Filipino audiences are, or the Filipino audience is. What about how the world community looks at the Filipino dancers? Of course, abroad, di ba, we win awards in acting and, you know, the many Broadway shows talagang we also have the leading cast there, the main stars there. Are they as appreciative as the Filipino dancers as well?
Well, I think now is a good time to answer that because this past couple of years, we do have a handful of winners in the global international competitions. So I think that's a measure of appreciation for the Filipino artists. So in recent times, of course, we have Candice Adea, who won in the Helsinki competition and in the Jackson competition. And we have Veronica Atienza of Philippine Ballet Theatre, who also became a finalist. I think she was 5th in the Jackson competition. They're just a handful of those who have represented the Philippines well. And in the amateur level, even my own kids have also won international competitions.
Wow,
and I think that's a good measure of how the world views Filipinos.
What is your vision of them teaching the kids? Is it, number one, to pursue their passion or participate in international competitions and win, or perform live in a stage? As a school owner, what is it that you aspire for the students?
Well, of course, we want to dream along with them. It depends on the student, because if the student wants to compete, then, you know, you step in and be part of their dream. If they want to be professional dancers, then likewise, you mentor them so that they can be professional dancers. But I think the priority of any dance teacher should be building the character of the student so that they can handle any other challenge that they would want to take. So it's important to give them the values that they need so that they can soar. So it's usually in athletics or in any other practice, you hear the words practice makes perfect. But in ballet, even if you practice and you don't have the right character, I don't think you can make it. So what our priority is when we train the student is to instill in them the life lessons that they need. So so that even when they stop dancing, even if they retire, they remain dancers inside. And they take with them all the values that we taught in the school. Respect, valuing people's time, humility, punctuality, purpose, art. If they have all of that, then we can help them compete, we can help them become pre-professional dancers or professional dancers, commercial dancers, whatever it is that they want to aspire for. I think a school should be able to give them the push, the support to do that.
Some of the dancers dancing different genres can shift from one form to another. Are ballet dancers
Yes.
like that too? So they shift to pop or modern?
Yes, I think, well, they may not be able to be expert level in all, but surely dancing in all the genres gives you a full range of movement, a more bodied way of dancing. So in our school, we concentrate on contemporary and ballet. So it's a good mix. And we also have some jazz classes so that whatever life brings them, they can dance.
Okay, that's interesting. Now we go to our lightning round where you say, you give a thumbs up and say like or
Okay.
dislike. Okay. The first, this is a phrase or a word.
So thumbs up or thumbs down?
Oh, yeah, thumbs up or thumbs down. You say like or dislike.
Okay.
You may want to explain if you like.
Okay.
Dancing is easy. Dislike. Okay. Solo performance. Virtualized dance. Classes. Street dance. Last 5 runs
Kulang
of
yung,
the show.
kulang yung 5, pero okay na rin ako sa 5.
Art is where the heart is.
Yes.
Quote-unquote doings. Stunts.
Not necessary.
Dance business. Dancing in TikTok.
Cute naman.
Challenge. Bureau of Customs.
Huh. Yes.
I asked that.
Support.
If you noticed, I asked that last one because aside from being a ballerina, being a dance school, you are also into shipping. There is a huge difference
Yes.
between the ballet stage and shipping. What so far what insights can you share with the businesses on the shipping industry here in the Philippines?
Well, I handle ship manning, and I guess the similarity between dance and shipping is that we invest in the Filipino people. So in the same way that I have full confidence in our dance industry and other artists in the Philippines, I also have absolutely 100% confidence in the seafarers of the Filipinos. We are #1 remittance providers, and there is a saying that the Filipino seafarer is always #1.
Wow.
So when you see our seafarers achieve so much, it's the same feeling as seeing dancers and artists succeed in the global market.
I don't have a follow-up question there, Miss Erica, because we would like to guest you again to talk about
Thank you.
the shipping industry. And before we let go of this interview, I'd like to request you to talk with our audience and share also with entrepreneurs, small businesses, how to, for them to survive and pivot what like you did during the pandemic. How will they survive the pandemic?
I don't think that there's a set of rules that will ensure success, but I do believe that believing in our Filipino people, in your own capacity, in your own skill set, is something that will help you propel your business forward. I think if we have a lot of heart in what we do, we can do so much more. And if we encourage other people to be positive and to look at things in a global, more well-rounded way of doing things, then you can improve so much in your business and in your life even. So keep humble, keep learning, keep positive, and try to help as much people as you can, because it will all come back to you one way or another.
This has been a very beautiful and graceful and insightful discussion with our guest, Miss Erica Jacinto. Open for Business. We'll be back. Stay with us.
Buhay, nandito kami para umalalay. Kasi katulad mo, gusto rin namin ang magandang bukas para sa kanya. Hatid namin ang dekalidad na edukasyon at makabagong pasilidad sa abot kayang halaga. Kaya huwag ka na mangamba, sasamahan ka namin tuparin ang mga pangarap niya. Maaasahan mong sulit dito ang mga pinagsikapan mo. Sa aming mga makabagong pasilidad at sistema ng edukasyon. Mailalabas natin ang aking talino at mga kakayahan niya. Kahit sa munting halaga, makakasiguro ka na makakasabay siya sa mabilis na pag-ikot ng mundo. Sa New Era, karamay mo kami sa bawat hamon. Kaagapay mo kami sa bawat hakbang. Kasama mo kami sa bawat ngiti at tagumpay.
Open for Business is back at the helm. Men's underwear at lipstick sales. Bagong indikasyon ng recession. Kung sa karaniwan ay bond at stock markets ang pinagbabatayan ng pag-alam kung may paparating na recession, ibahin si dating US Federal Reserve Head Alan Greenspan. Ayon kay NPR correspondent Robert Krulwich noong 2008, sa gitna ng global financial crisis, ipinaliwanag sa kanya ni Greenspan na magandang economic predictor ang bentahan ng men's undergarment dahil ito ang isa sa mga huling naiisip bilhin ng mga kalalakihan. Sinabi umano ni Greenspan noon na ang pagbaba ng kita sa men's underpants ay nangangahulugang kinakapos sa finances ang mga kalalakihan, kaya't nagpapasya silang huwag munang gumastos sa ganoong kasuotan. Pagkatapos ng GFC, tumaas ng $1.1 billion kada taon ang men's underwear sales sa Estados Unidos na lalong nagbigay ng kredibilidad sa Men's Underwear Index ni Greenspan. Ang kita naman sa pagbebenta ng lipstick ay nagsilbing indicator rin sa pagsisimula ng ika-21 siglo. Ayon kay Estee Lauder Chairman Leonard Lauder, napansin nilang tumataas ang sales ng lipstick kapag may suliranin sa ekonomiya dahil mas binibili ito kumpara sa mga mas mahal na produktong cosmetics. Subalit nagkaroon ito ng pagbabago ng maapektuhan ng pandemya ng COVID-19 ang ekonomiya. Ayon kay Estee Lauder CEO Fabrizio Freda, skincare items na ang pumalit sa lipstick index. Mas mabili kasi ang mga moisturizer sa panahong ito dahil sa mga naka-work from home ang maraming mga mamimili. Ano man ang binabantayang economic indicator ng mga bansa, sinasabi ng mga eksperto na relatively unlikely na maganap ang isang global recession. Yan ay kahit pa nariyan ang COVID-19 pandemic, ang epekto ng sagupaan sa pagitan ng Russia at Ukraine, lumalalang inflation at interest hikes sa US. Sabi ni George Washington University Economics Professor Tara Sinclair, mahirap i-predict ang recession kahit ang federal government umano ay malalaman na nakakaranas ang isang bansa ng recession kung may recession na. Babala ng Forbes, mag-ingat sa mga misleading headlines o ulat na nagsasabing may paparating na recession. Sa mga negosyante, ito ang payo ni Forbes writer at economist Bill Connerly. The best course for a business leader is to keep a skeptical attitude about forecasters, even of my forecasts, and a humble attitude towards the leader's own views. Economists have often erred in their forecasts, but you are probably not any better. So develop contingency plans for a recession right now. Review them annually. Monitor the economic issues most important to your business. Glance at GDP, but focus on consumer spending or housing starts or business capital spending orders. Whatever part of the economy moves the needle at your business.
Welcome back, Millennials and Generation Z. Do you believe you still require permission to dance? Later, we will find out, but first, let's talk about dancing. Dancing is an excellent technique to release tension and stretch and flex all of your weary, strained, or neglected muscles and joints. Dance is a really fun type of exercise, despite the fact that it is an art form and a discipline that demands concentration and practice. Dance not only relieves stress, but it also provides a number of other health benefits, including improved memory, balance, flexibility, and the reduction of depression. It is also a means of expressing oneself, not just to others, but also to yourself. Okay, viewers, today we are going to speak about 3 different ways dancing relieves stress. First and foremost, when the body is great, so does the mind. Dancing, like any other physical activity, releases endorphins, also known as happy hormones, a neurotransmitter that helps our bodies feel relaxed, joyful, and optimistic. As a result, endorphins make the body feel tranquil and optimistic after a good dance. Second, dance opens a good connection in the community. Dancing allows you to reconnect with your true self. You can express your feelings in an artistic and constructive way by using the correct music and dance. Dancing improves health. Dancing can help people stay in shape. Losing weight and boosting aerobic power can both be achieved through an aerobic dance training program. Everything about dancing is amazing. What is it about dancing that makes us feel so liberated and released from our daily worries? Dance can transport you into a meditative flow state, which is a soothing experience. Who has not felt great after a time of dancing to their favorite tunes? Dance and stress alleviation go hand in hand. It is something that we all have the ability to do. So go ahead and do your thing. And as BDS says, we don't need anyone's permission to dance. I am Jasmine Agustin for Open for Business.
Bank of Commerce. What we are.
Open for Business is back, and our buzzword of the week is choreography. It is the art of making dances, the gathering and organization of movement into order and pattern. Nagpakita ang dance community ng katatagan, talino at dedikasyon sa pagpapasigla sa performing arts sa kabila ng pandemya. With theaters closed, shows canceled, and choreography classes reinvented, a variety of artistic solutions were eventually devised to make all the world a stage. Dance, without a doubt, will continue to bring people together. And with that, our quote of the week is from Jennifer Lopez. She said, "Always remember, you will live, you will love, you will dance again." Maraming salamat sa inyong panonood ng Open for Business. Thank you to our guest, Ms. Erica Jacinto. Samahan ninyo kaming muli sa Open for Business sa susunod na linggo. Learn more insights from CEOs, thought leaders, industry experts, and SMEs promoting business development in the Philippines, keeping you informed and open for business. Be ahead of the curve from vision to action. Panoorin din ang programang OFV sa Facebook at YouTube. Mag-like at mag-subscribe sa aming social media at Net25 TV. Para sa Open for Business, ako po si Cesar Vallejos. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was great.
This program is